Today I'm going to be teaching you how to play Rising Sun. I'm Mark Maia. Welcome to Board Game Coffee. The Forgotten Kami have returned from the underworld, and they're not happy. They've gathered their secret clans on a quest to reclaim the lands of Nippon and put everything back the way they left it. Although each clan has their own vision for the future, and as it is always the way with war and politics, alliances will be forged, leading to inevitable betrayal. Because when all is said and done, only one will stand victorious. Rising Sun is a 3 to 5 player game where each player takes control of a clan and tries to lead them to victory by earning victory points over the course of the seasons. There are a lot of ways to gain victory points in Rising Sun. Winning battles, harvesting provinces, or playing to the virtues accumulated by your clan. But you have till winter to do it. When winter comes, the snow falls and the battles are pretty much over. So this is the time to tally up your points and determine the victor. First, let's start off with a general overview of the phases that make up your average turn in Rising Sun. After which, I'll break down its parts into more detailed explanation so you'll actually know how to play. The first phase in Rising Sun is the tea ceremony. Now, this is where players will negotiate alliances that they will take into the next phase. Now, during the political phase, each player takes turns selecting a political mandate and putting that into play. Now, political mandates sound a lot scarier than they are, but all that really means is when a player plays a political mandate, they are just telling the other players, this is the action that we can perform this turn. So each player takes a turn performing that action. When each player has, it is the next player's turn to select a political mandate for that turn, and so on. When the political phase is over, we move into the war phase. The war phase in Rising Sun is handled via silent bid. Each player involved in a battle will secretly bid on war advantages that they wish their factions to take in battle. Now we're going to learn how to play Rising Sun. First, we're going to start off with a general overview of the game board. Now, it might seem like a lot at first, but don't worry, it'll all make sense as we go. The Rising Sun game board is broken up into 8 color-coded provinces: Kyushu, Shikoku, Nagato, Kansai, Kyoto, Edo, Oshu, and Hokkaido. These dotted lines represent shipping routes. Any 2 provinces connected by these lines are considered adjacent for moving purposes. So players may move their character from Kansai to Kyushu. Provinces that share this dual-colored border are considered adjacent. During a move phase, players can move their figures from one province to an adjacent province. Throughout your Rising Sun gameplay experience, you're going to lose honor and you're going to gain honor for one reason or another. When honor is lost or gained for any reason, simply track it on the honor track. Along the perimeter of the board is the victory points track. This is where clans will track their victory points. These hexagon shapes attached to the province of the same colors indicate the rewards that will be granted to the player that successfully pulls off a harvest. These 8 locations here are your war province slots. At the top of the board are 4 shrine slots. This is where players will place their Shinto warriors to worship the kami. The track across the top of the board will break down the actions players will need to take during any given season. We'll get more into details about all this later. Now I want to introduce you to the coolest part of this game, the minis. Each clan has an army made up of 10 warriors, 6 Bushi warriors, 3 Shinto warriors, and 1 Daimyo. This is your leader. Now the Bushi warriors are your basic foot soldiers. The Shinto warriors can do everything that your Bushi warriors can do, with the addition that they have the ability to worship at the shrines. More on that later. The Daimyo warriors, as I mentioned, are your leaders. Now, they can do everything the Bushi can, but they can't worship at the shrine like the Shinto. Although they do have the added bonus that they can't be taken hostage or removed from the board by a betrayal action. Also, more on that later. Each figure in your clan is worth 1 force. Force is used to determine the final outcome of a battle during the war phase. It also dictates which clan, if any, benefits from worshipping at a shrine. Aren't these guys awesome? These are monsters, also known as Oni. Now, Oni are legendary creatures that can be added to your clan as a train action. I'll explain what that is later. Now, each Oni has a special ability that's described on their monster card. When you recruit an Oni, it's part of your clan indefinitely. So is its ability. And the great part is, you can have as many monsters in your clan as you can afford. Now that you're a little more familiar with the board and you've met the awesome minis, time to cover everything else. Now these are your clan screens. Let's see how they work. Each clan has its own color-coded clan screen. These screens are used to conceal your actions during the war phase, but also act as a great reference guide for actions and points. Let's take a look at the Turtle Clan screen as an example. As you can see, their screen indicates their starting honor rank as 4, their home province as Kyoto, and their special clan ability as Shell of the Eternal. Now this ability is pretty cool because it allows their strongholds to move as they were figures, and they also count as warriors by equaling 1 force. Now that's not normal since nobody else's buildings count as a force in their army, and nobody else's buildings can move around the board. The bottom of your screen indicates the 3 different warrior types that will make up your army. Now this is the same in everybody's screen. The top right of the screen will indicate your seasonal income. This is how many coins you get at the beginning of every season. Below that, you'll see the end of game bonus. This acts as a reference during the scoring phase at the end of the game. On the other side of your clan screen, you'll notice that your special ability is listed in the center for other players to see. Season cards are divided into 3 seasons: spring, summer, and autumn. The base cards of each season look like this. Now, in addition to these base cards, each season has 3 additional sets: the Horseman set, the Teapot set, and the Archway set. These sets are easily denoted by the symbol in their corner. Season decks are made up of 5 different card types: enchantments, which grant your clan special abilities; virtue cards that allow you to gain extra victory points; monster cards that give your clan monster figures with unique abilities; war upgrade cards that grant you special benefits that trigger at the start of each war phase; and last but not least, winter upgrades. These cards offer bonus victory points triggered by specific conditions at the end of the game. Throughout your Rising Sun gaming experience, you're going to lose honor or gain honor for one reason or another. Whenever a player gains honor, their clan marker is moved up the honor track, pushing down any other marker that might be getting in their way so they can make room. The clan with their marker closest to the top of the honor track is considered to have more honor than any clan that has their marker below them. Why is honor so important, you might ask? Well, whenever there's a tie, and I assure you there will be ties, the player with the highest honor wins that tie. And if there's any time discrepancies, as in who did what first or what counts before the other thing, then the player with the highest honor wins. Now let's get to the setup. Before you set up, each player is going to have to choose which clan they wish to play with. Once that's done, those players will take the corresponding clan screen and set it up in front of them. Each player will then take a political/war tile and place it behind their screen, political side face up. Keep in mind that the clan you do choose does matter, since each clan brings a different ability to the table. This ability is both indicated on the backside and front side of the clan screen. That way it can be easily referenced by you and your opponents. Players must sit around the table in order of their starting honor rank. So the clan with the lowest number will go first. The player to their left will be the clan with the second lowest number, and then the third lowest, and so on and so forth. So in the example of a 5-player game, the order would be Koi clan first, followed by the Lotus clan, then the Turtle clan, Dragonfly clan, and last but not least, the Bonsai clan. Alright, now that we have our clans selected and we're all seated around the table in the proper order, each player should take the time to collect the warriors, circle bases, structures, and alliance tokens that match the color of their clan. Now, place one clan marker for each clan sitting at the table at the start of the victory point track. Then place the second clan marker on the honor track according to each clan's starting honor rank, with the clan with the lowest number being closest to the top. Each player takes one Daimyo figure, one Bushi figure, and one Stronghold token and places them on the board inside their home province, as indicated on their clan screen. Now it's time to fill our shrine slots with kami to worship. Take your 7 shrine tiles, shuffle them up, and draw 4 from the top. Place these shrine cards face up in the slots from left to right. For first-time players, the rules recommend that you use Amaterasu, Fujin, Hachiman, and Tsukuyome. Now we need to set up our season decks. Take the 3 base card sets for each season, the ones with no symbols in the corner, and separate them into 3 different piles: spring, summer, and autumn. Now pick one of the expansion sets, either Horseman, Archway, or Teapot. For first-time players, it's recommended that you play with the Archway set. So let's start there. Take the Archway sets for spring, summer, and autumn and put them on top of the piles that match those seasons. Now separate the War Province tokens into 3 piles, organizing them by the number written on the corner. Once you have these 3 piles, shuffle the individual piles and place them face down by the side of the board. Each pile should have 8 tokens in it. I like to place the piles next to the season cards, with 1 beside spring, 2 summer, and 3 placed right beside autumn. Take all 10 Political Mandate tiles, shuffle them, and place them face down next to the clan who will be playing first. Remember, the clan who plays first is the clan whose clan marker is closest to the top of the honor track. Place all monster figures next to the board. Also, make 2 common piles, one for the coins and one for Ronin tokens. Rising Sun is played in 4 seasons, although not much happens in the 4th. The coming of winter signals the end of the game, victory points are tallied, and a victor is chosen. Each season in Rising Sun is broken up into 5 stages. I know I mentioned 3 earlier, but the other 2 are more of a setup phase. Step 1 is the seasonal setup, followed by the tea ceremony, the political phase, the war phase, and then the seasonal cleanup. Each new season starts with a seasonal setup. There are a few tasks you have to take care of before play can start. The first part of your seasonal setup will be preparing for war. This step will determine which of the 8 provinces will be going to war at the end of any given season. Grab the War Province tokens indicated with the number 1 for your first season. For your second season, Summer, you'll be using the War Province tiles indicated with the number 2. For the third season, Autumn, you'll be using the tiles indicated with the number 3. Once you have your War Province tokens, place them one at a time face up on the War Province slots here. Start from the War Province slot at the top, indicated with a 1. The number of War Province tokens placed on the board must be equal to the number of players plus 2. Now take your war number tokens and place them in the colored circles that are attached to the provinces that will be going to war. These numbers are placed in the same order as provinces appear in the war province slot. Any extra numbers can be placed back in the box. Being that this is the initial setup and this is the first season in the game, take your spring deck and place them face up next to the board where everyone can see. When you start playing a new season, remove the cards from the previous season to make room for the new cards of the current season. Players will be able to purchase cards from this row later in the game. Any identical cards can be staggered on top of each other to save space. Once the season is over and a new season starts, players will no longer be able to purchase cards from the previous season, although any cards they did purchase during that season will remain with them for the rest of the game. Time to get paid. To purchase any of the seasonal cards, clans are going to need some coin. This is where seasonal income comes into play. Each player receives a number of coins equal to the seasonal income indicated on the back of their clan sheet. Any coins they might have had from the previous season are removed from the game and returned to the common pile. That way, no one clan can stockpile coins to take over the next season. The final stage of the seasonal setup is the return hostage stage. Now, seeing that this is our initial setup, there are no hostages to return at this time. Now, in following seasons, summer, autumn, and winter, if you do have a hostage, this is where you would return it to its rightful clan. That hostage is placed in that clan's reserve pile, not on the map. The person who did the returning now takes a coin from the common pile. Now that might seem like a lot to remember, but worry not. On the back of the rule book is a step-by-step guide that'll take you through the seasonal setup. Now that you're done with your seasonal setup, it's time to move on to the tea ceremony. Now this is where alliances are made. At the beginning of the tea ceremony, any alliances made in previous seasons are unmade and new alliances are forged. Once again, being that this is our initial setup and our first tea ceremony, there are no alliances to be unmade. Who you are in alliance with, or if you're not in alliance at all, is completely up to you and your potential ally. Being in an alliance can be a powerful thing, granting you additional bonuses and some degree of safety when you're at war. Although, being in an alliance may sometimes be restrictive or detrimental to your future plans. Since your allies also benefit from your bonuses, this might make them a force to be reckoned with down the road. So it's important to choose wisely, because your ally may soon be your nemesis. It's important to know that alliances are forged between two players only, and both players must agree to the alliance. You can't just force people to be your friend. Once an alliance is forged, it'll stay in place until the next tea ceremony, or until one of the allied clans plays a betrayed mandate. Now we enter the political phase. This is where each player selects a political mandate to put into action. This is also when the kami come down from the mountains to bestow their gifts upon our clan. As shown on the political track on the board, the political phase of each season always follows this order. 3 mandate turns, a kami turn, 2 mandate turns, another kami turn, 2 mandate turns, 1 last kami turn, and the war phase. The first player to select a political mandate is the player whose clan marker is close to the top of the honor track, aka the first player. To select a political mandate, simply take the 4 tiles off the top of the mandate deck and look at them in secret. Select one of the 4 tiles, then place the selected mandate tile in the first available political mandate slot and place the rest back at the top of the deck. Do not shuffle the deck. Once placed, each player takes a turn performing the action stated on the political mandate card. This order continues around the table clockwise. The player who selected the mandate goes last. This way they get the advantage of seeing what everybody else does before they respond. Now you might have noticed that the political mandate tiles don't actually have any text to tell you what to do. That's where the political mandate card comes in handy. I'll go through each of these political mandates and what they do later in the video. Only in the case of the training mandate does the player who selected the mandate go first. This is indicated in red on the political mandate reference card. Each mandate, aside from the betray mandate, has a bonus which only applies to the player who selected the mandate and any allies they may have. This bonus is clearly indicated at the bottom of the political mandate reference card. If the player who selected the mandate has no allies, then they are the only ones who get the bonus. Let's break down what each political mandate does. The images on the reference card match those found on the political mandate tiles themselves. This makes it easy to identify each political mandate. The recruit mandate allows players to place more of their figures on the board. The player who chooses this mandate gets to decide where to place their figures last. As the turn continues around the table, each player may summon one figure they have in reserve to each of the provinces where they have a stronghold. So for example, if a player has 3 strongholds on the map, they may summon up to 3 different figures and they must each be placed in a province that contains those strongholds. A player may have more than one stronghold in the same province, in which case they may summon a number of figures to that province equal to the number of strongholds they have there. There is no limit to the number of figures that may occupy each of the provinces. As a bonus, the player who selected the recruit mandate, and their allies if they have any, may each summon one additional figure to any one of their strongholds, even if they have already summoned a figure there this turn. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how Shinto warriors can be sent to worship at a shrine. This is when that comes into play. When a Shinto warrior is summoned, and only at the moment they are summoned, the player may choose to send their Shinto to worship at one of the kami shrines. If the player chooses to do so, the Shinto is immediately taken from the province where it was summoned and placed on any of the 4 shrine tiles at the top of the board. There is no limit to the number of Shinto figures that may occupy each of the shrines. Once a Shinto is worshipping at a shrine, it's there to stay. It's not considered on the map and it can't be moved. Shinto will be returned to the players at the end of a season. The Marshal Mandate allows players to move their figures around the map according to their strategies. Starting to the left of the player that selected the mandate, each player may move the figures they have on the map to an adjacent province. This means either crossing a border or taking a shipping route to move to an adjacent province. The player may choose to move any number of their figures or none at all. But keep in mind that each figure can only be moved once during each Marshal Mandate. As a bonus, players who selected the mandate and their allies may choose to spend 3 coins to build a new stronghold anywhere on the map. Take 1 stronghold from their reserve and place it on any province they want. It doesn't have to be adjacent to a province where they already have a stronghold, and there is no limit to the number of strongholds that each province can have. The training mandate allows players to acquire new season cards for their clan, upgrading their clan with all kinds of cool new abilities and awesome looking monsters. As mentioned before, the training mandate is the only mandate in which the player that selected it goes first. After they go, the turn continues around in clockwise order as normal. The training mandate allows players to acquire one of the season cards currently displayed next to the board by paying its coin cost. The player then places the newly acquired season card face up next to their clan screen, so all players can see it. Now it's important to note that although players may have more than one copy of the same season card, they can only buy 1 season card per training mandate played. So once you buy 1 card, you're going to have to wait for the next training mandate to be played before you're allowed to buy another. When you buy a monster card, take the card and place it near your clan screen as normal. Then take the corresponding monster figure that matches the card. Then add the colored base that matches your clan's color to that monster. Once that's done, you may immediately summon that monster to any province where you have a stronghold. The monster now counts as one of your clan's figures. It's worth 1 force unless otherwise stated. If the monster is killed, it is returned to your reserve. You can summon it again during your recruitment phase, just like a normal figure. The player who selected the training mandate and their ally get a 1 coin discount for any card they buy that turn. Now, if this brings the cost of the card to 0, the card's free. Not a bad deal. The Harvest Mandate allows players to reap the rewards offered by the provinces they control. Those rewards can be coins, Ronin, or victory points, or a combination of the three. When the Harvest Mandate is played, all players gain 1 coin from the common pile, and that's it. The big prize goes to the player who selected the harvest and their allies. These players get to collect the reward listed for every province where they currently have the most force. Check each province one by one, adding together the force provided by each clan's figure. As always, if there's a tie, the tied player with the highest honor is considered to have the most force in that province. Now, my favorite mandate of them all, the Betray Mandate. Unlike the other mandates, Betray only benefits the player that selected it. This is a powerful and dangerous mandate that should not be played lightly. If the player who plays the Betray Mandate is in an alliance, this alliance is immediately broken, and the betraying player loses 1 honor. When playing the Betray Mandate, choose up to 2 figures on the map belonging to 2 different players. Immediately replace those figures with figures of the same type from your reserve. Monsters in your reserve can replace any other monster on the board, even though they don't share the same name. Now, just because you betrayed your alliance doesn't mean you have to take their figures. You're free to choose 2 figures from any other players, even if they weren't players that were part of your alliance originally. Daimyo figures, the figures with the black bases, also can't be targeted by betrayal. There's a reminder of this on the back of your clan sheet. Shinto figures on shrines are not considered on the map, so they can't be targeted either. Replacing an opponent's figure is not considered a summon, so you can't replace an opponent's Shinto with your Shinto and then send him to the shrine to worship. Whenever the political phase reaches one of these symbols, a kami turn takes place, with each shrine being resolved in order from left to right. In each shrine, players compare the total force each clan has there. Only the clan with the most force gets the benefit granted by that shrine's kami. If a shrine has no Shinto on it, it's simply skipped during this kami turn. As always, if there's a tie, the tied player with the highest honor is considered to have the most force in that shrine. These abilities are executed immediately before resolving the next shrine. These symbols here indicate what bonuses a kami has to offer. In this example, the bonuses are gain honor, gain 2 moves, gain 2 coin. Once the political phase is over, we begin the war phase. The war phase is the last phase of the season. At the start of the war phase, take your political mandate tile and flip it to its war side. Any season cards you've acquired with the war upgrade card type take effect now. Any card effects that take place at the start of war only take place at the start of the war phase for each season. They do not take place at the beginning of every battle. War only takes place in provinces marked with war number tokens, as determined by the war province tokens drawn during the seasonal setup. Starting with the number 1 province and proceeding in ascending order, war is resolved in each province, one at a time. If nobody has any force in the province, nothing happens and its corresponding war province token is simply discarded. If only one player has any force in a province, they simply take the corresponding war province token and place it face up next to their clan screen. Conquering a province has never been easier. If only 2 allied players have forces in a province, no battle takes place. The player with the most force simply takes the province token. As always, if there's a tie, The tied player with the highest honor is considered to have the most force in that province. Battles only take place if two players who are not allied have forces in the same province. The battle involves all players who have any force in that province, even if they are allied with each other. This situation would only occur if 3 or more clans have force in the same province. Before a battle begins, all players must clearly display their coins and Ronin tokens next to their clan screens. A player must truthfully answer how many coins and Ronin tokens they have if asked. Now the battle begins. The involved players take all their coins behind their clan screen and proceed to allocate them to different war advantage spots on their war tile. This is done simultaneously and in secret. Players may allocate any number of coins to each spot according to which advantages they are trying to win. They may also place no coins. Any coins the player doesn't wish to allocate to a war advantage spot are placed behind the screen, but below the war tile. Make sure your opponents can't tell which spots you're placing coins on, or whether you're placing any outside the war tile. Once all players declare that they are done allocating their coins, they all lift their screens simultaneously, revealing their bids. Remember, only clans participating in this battle are taking place in this allocation of coins. Any coins placed outside the war tile don't count for this battle and are returned to that player's reserve. Players then proceed to compare the number of coins allocated by each player in each of the war advantage slots, starting from the leftmost war advantage, Seppuku, and then proceeding to the right. Each war advantage is won by the player who bid the most coins on it. As always, if there's a tie, the tied player with the highest honor is considered to have the most coins in that war advantage. If no players bid any coins on a war advantage, it's simply skipped. Only the player who wins a war advantage is allowed to execute it. Now let's run through each war advantage and what they can do for you. The player who wins Seppuku may choose to immediately kill all the figures in the province in which the battle is taking place. If they do so, they immediately gain 1 victory point and 1 honor for each figure killed in this way. And keep in mind that this may change the honored tiebreakers for the following war advantages. And remember, if you do decide to perform Seppuku, you must kill all your figures in that province. Now you're still involved in the battle even if you no longer have any figures in that province. The player who wins Take Hostage may choose to capture 1 figure in the province belonging to another player, even from their ally. This hostage is only returned to his clan during the setup of the next season. It's important to note that a hostage is not killed, they are merely captured. If the player takes a hostage, they also steal 1 victory point from the clan that the captured figure belongs to. Move that clan's marker back 1 slot on the victory point track, and move your marker 1 slot forward. Note that if the targeted clan has no victory points, you can't steal any. So you don't move forward, and they don't move back. The player who wins Higher Ronin may choose to add their Ronin tokens to the forces in that province. For each Ronin token you have in reserve, you gain +1 force to determine the outcome of the battle. Keep in mind that these Ronin tokens are not spent when they are used, and all of them will be available to be hired again in the following battle. If the player who wins Higher Ronin has no Ronin tokens in their reserve, they don't get to place any Ronin. But they do deprive the other player of being able to place theirs. Now, before we move on to the final war advantage, we have to establish the battle's outcome. At this point, players calculate how much force they have remaining in a province. Now, this force total might have changed drastically since the beginning of the battle, considering some characters might have committed seppuku, while others were taken hostages, and somebody might have hired a stack of Ronin to add to their force. The clan with the most force remaining in the province wins the battle. The clan who lost the battle removes all their figures from that province. These figures are considered to have been killed in battle. However, if one of the losers is allied with the winning player, their figures are not killed. Now, the winner of this battle will take the corresponding war province token. If, for some reason, at the end of the battle, no player has any force left in the province, the player with the highest honor wins. Players who win Imperial Poets gain a number of victory points equal to the total number of figures that were killed in the course of this battle. Now, whose figures they were or how they died doesn't matter. All that matters is that they're dead. Now that the battle is over, all losing players discard all coins they allocated to the war tile into the common pile. The winning player, however, gives all coins they allocated to their war tile to the losing players. If the coins cannot be distributed equally amongst the losing players, the winning player decides who gets the extra coin. War is then resolved in the next province until all provinces with a war number token have been resolved. And that's the end of the war phase. Now that the bloodshed has ended, and the battles are over, and the provinces have been conquered, it's time for seasonal cleanup. With the war phase over, there is some cleanup that must be performed before moving on to the next season. All coins and Ronin tokens from the player's reserve are returned to the common piles. This means that all players will need to rebuild their resources again next season. Now remember all those Shinto that we sent to go worship? Well, now they get to come home. Return all Shinto to their clan's reserve. They can be played again in the following season. Now take all the political mandates off the board and shuffle them back up. Now give the political mandate tiles to the next player in line to play a mandate. The order is continued from the previous season. Now that you're familiar with the seasonal setup for your first season, repeat those steps for the following seasons, summer and autumn. Once you've played through autumn and work your way into winter, the game is over. This is when you'll tally your points and determine the winner. The start of the winter season signifies the end of the game. Peace falls over the lands as it gets covered in white snow, and a new emperor will rise under the power of the great kami. The only season steps that must be executed during winter is return hostages. This is in case players have season cards that trigger when a hostage is returned. Players may then gain extra victory points for winter upgrades and war province tokens. Any winter upgrade cards that earn you bonuses will state it right on the card. Each war province token grants the player a number of victory points equal to the number listed on the back of the card, depending on which season the war province token was acquired. 1 point for spring, 2 points for summer, 3 points for autumn. Players also get a victory point bonus according to the number of war province tokens they accumulated of different provinces. Having several tokens of the same province does not count toward this bonus. The amount of points earned from the different war tokens that you've collected is indicated on the back of each clan screen, as you can see here. If you have 3 to 4 different war province tokens, you will be awarded with a 10 victory point bonus. But if you got as many as 7 to 8 different war province tokens, you'll be awarded with 30 bonus victory points. Not too shabby. As you're calculating victory points for each clan, move their marker around the victory point track. If a player manages to get more than 50 victory points, simply take their clan marker, flip it over, and start again at the beginning of the victory point track. Once all victory points are tallied, the player with the most points is declared the winner. And as always, in case of a tie, the tied player with the highest honor is declared the winner. In the very unlikely event that 2 allied players are tied in first place, they share the victory. Well, that was it. You are now experts on Rising Sun. Well, at least I hope you are. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks for joining us on this instructional video for Rising Sun. I'm Maia, this is Board Game Coffee. See you next week.